Think of Thunderbirds when it's doing that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thunderbirds are go.
But it was Stingray. But it was Stingray, where anything could happen in the next half hour.
Right.
So if that captures on the video, you should put the little Thunderbirds 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 over the top of it.
It doesn't, unfortunately.
Darn it.
I can put that on top, though. I have an editor. So welcome, fellow Whovians, to another episode of 3Do Who, the monthly Doctor Who podcast that begs the question, if Doctor Who, will we ever meet Doctors what, where, when, and why?
Yeah,
see.
I'm more interested in Dr. How, to be honest.
Well, but that doesn't follow in the 5 W's, so...
Look, I come from a country where we teach the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't give a damn what it starts with. I'm just interested in how it finishes. Right.
With me today, as always, are my 2 favorite Time Lords, Mike and James. How are you 2 fine fellows this month?
I'm fine.
And
I have something permanently swollen in my mouth at the moment.
But you're doing a good job talking with that swollen in your mouth.
Yeah, it's because I'm taking a lot of liquid as well. And you are looking at someone who
innuendos.
That's Italian for a suppository.
Yes.
You are looking at someone who also managed to nearly break his ankle on an exercise bike. So yeah,
they're stationary, James.
The pedal broke off whilst I was using it.
Stop pedaling so hard.
You're just an amateur peddler.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we get to some Who news.
Oh, there's going to be so much Who news.
It's going to be a lot of Who news. This is a Who news heavy episode, according to James.
Oh, it is.
So April Fool's cancellation and reboot joke. It seems that even the Doctor can't escape the silly human April Fool's Day tradition. An article on DoctorWhoTV.co.uk proclaimed that Doctor Who is canceled and that a new deal with Amazon had been struck to reboot the series as Doctor Who, abbreviated Dr. Who, with Harry Styles being cast as the first Doctor, and proclaiming, but the end is just the beginning. Well, friends, that's just a prank. The Doctor, properly spelled out instead of abbreviated, isn't going anywhere. So a lot of people were freaked out. A lot of people, and they didn't correct it very quickly.
It's
still up. Yeah,
it's still
spread to Google News. Into my news feed. Yeah,
yes, it's still up. I'm still getting, repeats of it. So, and they, like I said, as of yet, the website has not said, April Fools. Usually, you do that the day after, put April Fools, and stop the rumors and jokes from flying. But unfortunately, Doctor Who TV.co.uk did not think that was necessary. So,
well, and I'll have to say, the prospect of that premise is not bad. I mean, you think about it; it's not a bad premise.
It's interesting because the picture that they faked up for it is actually very much based on the Hartnell outfit.
Yeah, very much.
And when you consider that Hartnell was only in his 50s when he took on the role, Harry Styles is probably not that much younger,
right?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad part for Hartnell is he was he was a very old 50.
Yeah. He's one of those actors that was born craggled.
Right. He was an OAP like from age 5 on.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to the next story. Doctor Who at 20 Bookazine. This one also comes from James, but this was one of the ones that I felt was lighthearted enough to put in here. To celebrate 20 years since Doctor Who's triumphant return to our screens in 2005, Radio Times has created a special edition bookazine called The Doctors 2005 to 2025, available as a free digital download. The exclusive collection charts the journey of the modern era from Russell T Davies' bold revival to the latest adventures in the TARDIS, featuring one of Davies' very first interviews from 2003, where he revealed his vision for bringing the Time Lord back. Inside, you'll find revealing interviews with every modern Doctor: Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, and Ncuti Gatwa, alongside insights from showrunners Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall. Packed with set reports, archive features, iconic photo shoots, and rare behind-the-scenes imagery, this is the ultimate celebration of 2 decades of time-traveling adventures. Download your free copy today and relive the revival of Doctor Who.
And where does one download that?
Oh, you just got to go to the Radio Times.
We'll put a link or something.
There'll be a link
as well. Yeah,
perfect.
It is free to download. I think you might have to register with the Radio Times, but of course,
I believe you did.
Every sensible person has a spam email address that they sign up for this shit with.
Yes.
And
wait,
that's what Yahoo
there's
is
sensible
for.
people on the internet? When? Where? Name one.
sensible face.
Okay, there we go.
I don't think that's a real person, but okay.
No.
Right. Okay. So today is D-6. We are 6 days to the launch of the new series, and we have gone from 0 to 100 in the space of a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's an awful lot to kind of update on. Apologies for not kind of like feeding this to you as it happened. It's just
as a quick pause in there. The trailers that I've seen so far are very promising.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
they look really good.
And you haven't seen all of them yet.
No.
Because let's do the mini trailers first, along with the kind of minute-long trailers or whatever, where it's, taking her home the long way, get her home kind of thing, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. The BBC have been doing a set of ident trailers. So you'll have noticed that in the kind of the regular trailers that they've done, there's been a bit where the Doctor's kind of been pointing to the external doors saying, out there is blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
But what the BBC has done is they've then CGI'd the TARDIS into countless BBC programmes and had the Doctor and Belinda kind of looking out the TARDIS and seeing themselves in EastEnders, in animated...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They've been in Gladiators. There's about 5 or 6 of them. And because, of course, BBC is realising that it's a global thing and not just a BBC broadcast, these short trailers are on the BBC website, but they're hidden. So basically, it's a good excuse to go hunting around on the BBC website to find these.
Well, it is almost Easter. Time for an egg hunt.
Oh, yes. I thought we were after seeds, not eggs. Anyway. I should have waited till you were drinking for that one. Right. Anyway.
Thank you. My computer.
Yes. So yeah, everything is suddenly in absolute overdrive. Along with that free Radio Times one as well, there's been a Doctor Who magazine special all about the 20th anniversary, which was at the time of recording a couple of weeks ago.
Excellent.
They've started, Big Finish have been starting to tease details of the 9th Doctor and Rose adventures that are coming out eventually. I can't remember when they start. And of course, close because we've got the 13th and Yaz coming out. We've got the 9th and Rose coming out. In my brain, I've got details of a 10th Doctor adventure that you know nothing about to talk about.
Excellent.
My head is spinning at the moment with all of the new Doctors. But yeah, basically kind of, there's been the national, the famous national TV listings magazine, the Radio Times, did not just one cover for the 20th anniversary, but they did one for each of the modern Doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Although, given the cost of the Radio Times, to buy a complete set of 6 was actually more expensive than buying the steel book of the recently released The Savages animation.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. This country is going very strange at the moment. I know America has its problems, but believe me...
Oh, I don't know. It's very strange over here as well.
Yeah.
We're winning.
Yeah.
So, okay. So sticking with the theme of the new season, though. First off, the BBC are still being very tight-lipped about what's going to happen at the end of season 2. They are, understandably keeping everything very quiet, but there has been no kind of leaks, which is always an interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, when the Eccleston series started, it was literally pretty much the day after Rose was shown that it got leaked to the press that Eccleston had left and that Tennant would be taking over.
Right.
And it is very telling that there have been no leaks. What is also more interesting, though, is a couple of days ago, a photo was put up by the BBC of a load of people who were visiting various studios and stuff. And the photo had been taken within the previous couple of weeks, and it was on the TARDIS set.
Oh.
So the TARDIS set is, as far as everyone knows, still standing at Badwell Studios. So therefore, the conclusion is that, if the show had been cancelled, surely they would have taken that down by now.
You would think, yeah.
Because they didn't need it for the drop-in inserts for the trailers or anything. So yeah, things at the moment are actually looking pretty positive. The BBC, as I said, is going out of their way to trail it. There's been the London premiere recently. Mini spoiler warning, although I think everyone had guessed this by now. Russell T Davies has confirmed that Mrs. Flood is a baddie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No shit.
That was kind of obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
she's kind of a baddie in the same way I think Missy is kind of a baddie. Sort of a baddie, but not so baddie that she won't stop
a lovable
worse
baddie.
Yeah. I mean, because we've seen Missy like stop things that even Missy was like, this is too far.
Yeah.
So I think Mrs. Flood is like that.
I mean, people will be listening to this, hopefully, in May, while season 2 is still ongoing. So, of course, things might change. But at the moment, everything is still showing great signs of optimism.
Excellent.
Right. So, we're going to start with Russell D. Davis's incontinence. Sorry, his leak. I'm determined to kill Eric today.
Oh my god.
Right. And this is actually ties in with what I was saying earlier, because there was something very interesting a couple of months ago, and this kind of slipped under the radar a bit and has now resurfaced in with a very kind of bizarre because there was the launch video for season 2, which detailed the titles.
Right.
The titles, there had been a title leak. Okay. So for quite some time, we've actually known that episode 1 was The Robot Revolution. But yeah, kind of that's crept out a long time ago. But about 6 weeks ago, there was a leak which claimed to be a screenshot from iPlayer, which kind of suggested that all 8 episodes had been accidentally uploaded. And thus we had all 8 titles. And of course, when the video came out, it turned out wasn't quite what we thought. Because out of the 8, 4 of them were wrong, but 4 of them were right. And this is causing kind of like, it's like, so no one seems to know if the kind of the 4 wrong ones were early titles or something like that.
Or if it was a red herring.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with the idea that it's potentially early titles.
Yeah.
So,
working
episode
title.
1.
Very possible, yeah.
Yeah, no. And I'm going to back this up with evidence.
Oh.
Yeah. So, episode 1, they got correct as The Robot Revolution. Episode 2, they got right as Lux.
Okay.
So they got that one right. Now, episode 3 is officially called The Well. The title that was leaked is 5 Miles Deep.
It's close.
Yeah.
And more interestingly, the picture that accompanied the screenshot of the iPlayer thing is from that episode. It's got the Doctor in that rather tasty blue suit.
Yeah, yes, with the
yes,
showing off his assets.
Believe me, I know people are working on their beach bodies, but trust me, enjoy the carbs because that's one hell of a cake.
That's delicious, I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of wondering. Episode 4 was leaked as Lucky Day, but that one was wrong. Episode 5, The Trickster's Web, incorrect. But episode 6 was given as the Interstellar Song Contest.
Right.
And
Eurovision?
Again, that was linked with a correct image from the episode.
Right.
And yes, it is. Not only is it Eurovision, it is scheduled to go out on Eurovision Day, seemingly, and it guest stars the person who actually does part of the hosting of the UK broadcast of the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So are they going to do it like before Eurovision starts? Is that when they're releasing earlier in the day?
Now, this is where things get really bizarre. Because in a very recent interview, Russell T Davies has indicated that that episode might be for the UK an iPlayer only episode.
Oh.
Whether or not that means they've got scheduling issues or something, But yeah, that one is...
So maybe not a broadcast episode at all, and they're just saying, hey, go to iPlayer to watch this episode.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, it is, they got the screenshot right and everything. So yeah, it was very strange. They got the last 2 titles wrong, though. They said it was The 4 Days Dead and Mayday.
Haven't we already had a Mayday?
No, that's next month.
No. I meant a Mayday title. I thought there was one that was a Mayday title.
No, not that I can instantly think of. Right. So, on to... This is... I like the fact this is a video one, because I'm going to get to see your reactions. Okay? Latest issue of DWM has got previews of the first 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
So, episode 1, The Robot Revolution. Now, there's a 2-page article about it, but when they do these previews, they do a little in a nutshell thing.
Right.
I just wish that out of the 3 they're previewing, 2 of them were easier to read out because their grammar in them is terrible. Right? So
yeah, the writing has not been spectacular with DWM.
No, there's been another issue as well, which has kind of caused confusion. Anyway, right. So the Robot Revolution in a nutshell. Right. Under a starlit sky, 2 teenage sweethearts. Look, I've got bloody swelling in my throat.
I love that. I love that candy. It's very sweet and tart.
It's so good. It's sweet and tart.
It's sweet and tart.
Right. Under a starlit sky, 2 teenage sweethearts share a moment. He, brackets Green, presents her, brackets Sethu, with a star. Her star, named in her honour. Miss Belinda Chandra. It's cute, it's quirky, it's just a certificate. But then robots rock up at Belinda's. They are from Miss Belinda Chandra 1, and they want their queen back. Can the Doctor rescue Her Majesty Queen Belinda and quash the robot revolution? So
I'm sure he can.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun episode.
There's a picture of Belinda being marched along by robots. What's very strange, though, is that the robots don't half remind me of a couple of robots that featured in the Empty Planet episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Oh, really?
I doubt they are the same ones, but visually they are very similar.
That'll be interesting. I'm going to have to rewatch that episode.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've done it.
Episode 2 is Lux.
Okay.
And there's a bonus coming up with this one as well. So, in a nutshell, oh God, it's Miami. It's America. Miami in 1952. Investigating the disappearance of 15 people from the Palazzo Picture Palace. Skip the alliteration, please. The Doctor and Belinda encounter a sinister new enemy who isn't as two-dimensional as he first appears. So this is the one...
this is the cartoonification one.
The cartoonification.
Yes.
We appear to be animated.
Right.
This waistline is impossible. And they shouldn't have flattened out Shooty. I mean, sorry.
No.
But not only is there the preview, along with pictures of, the Mr. Ring-a-Ding coming out of the cinema screen, there is actually a full-page comic strip, Mr. Ring-a-Ding.
Oh, wow.
If I just show you very quickly, there you go. It's in Doctor Who magazine. They've actually even done a full-page comic strip of Mr. Ring-a-Ding to promote the episode. That's why I say, they are throwing lots at this.
Right.
Right. And then episode 3, The Well. Stranded on the inhospitable planet 6-7-6-7, the Doctor and Belinda team up with a platoon of troopers who have been sent to investigate Colony Base 15, a mining operation that they've lost contact with. Arriving at the installation, they soon discover something is very wrong indeed. And that something soon reveals itself to be at the heart of the Doctor's worst nightmares.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I do wish they'd quit saying platoon, though, because every time they say platoon, they've ruined it for me because I expect Jadoon after platoon.
No, I expect Arnold Schwarzenegger to turn up.
I don't.
Let's face it, Shooty having a peck off with Arnie.
It wouldn't be much of a contest anymore.
Arnie has very big pecs. They're down to his knees.
Yeah. As I say, he's starting to get up there in age where he doesn't have the same body he used to.
Okay.
Like a lot of us.
Yeah. So I say it's looking to be kind of like, BBC are really throwing things at this. There's been other than those titles, there have been surprisingly few leaks. Nothing has yet leaked about War Between Land and Sea. As I say, if you look back at the RTD1 era, there were
constant leaks.
Leaks. Well, that he called them leaks, but we all know what was happening. Yeah,
they were releases.
They were really, but yeah, they're actually managing to keep. And bearing in mind as well that season 2 of Shooty was filmed 18 months or so ago.
Right.
I'm not going to name him because he'll be terribly embarrassed, but someone who is very big on the fetish scene in England actually worked as an extra on some of the episodes.
Oh, wow.
I can't get any information out of him, and believe me, I've tried everything, and I do mean, yeah.
I bet you have. Intrepid reporter that you are.
Yeah. So yes, it is actually nearly everyone appears to be going into season 2 not knowing what is going on. So yeah. Right. The universe might hate me with the exercise bike in the throat, but there is a punchline.
Okay.
There is a new Doctor Who exhibition going to be opening up soon in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, and it is going to be running for at least 6 months. Okay.
Wow.
They are featuring props. They are featuring all kinds of things. They are looking at having guest speakers. They are looking at having, actors from both classic and New Who coming along. And it's opening 3 miles from my front door.
Wow.
You're so lucky. You're going to be there every day.
I know they have been inundated with applications for assistant helpers and stuff. I haven't heard back from mine yet, so I'll keep you informed.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Right?
But yeah. So for those of you,
I really enjoyed when you took me to the Doctor Who experience.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
What's really weird though is I should have seen this coming.
Mm.
Because in the city, it's no secret, of course, because I live in a city called Peterborough. A few months ago, Daleks started appearing in graffiti form all over the city centre. People assumed that this was just someone having a laugh, but no, it turned out this was stealth advertising for the fact that Peterborough Museum is going to be playing host for at least 6 months to a huge Doctor Who exhibition.
That's fantastic. Very Bad Wolf,
Yeah.
I like that. I love that a lot.
So, and again, would the BBC authorise a brand new 6 month at least Doctor Who exhibition if they were looking at canning the show?
No. The
So,
BBC is not going to give up Doctor Who. That's just not going to happen.
It's been getting tremendous ratings with Disney.
Yeah.
Disney have been saying great things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of like, to end the news section, let's say, I actually think that, it's going to be a very interesting 8 weeks. And I think we've got a lot more weeks to come after it.
Yeah, I think so too. It like I said, every one of the previews that I've watched so far have been very, very promising. And lot more exciting than last season's previews.
And also, a lot of people have said that they've got more of a Doctor Who vibe from them.
Yes. It seems like it always takes every new Doctor a little bit to hit their stride.
Yeah.
Usually the first season's kind of a mixed bag, and then they hit their stride in the second and do really well.
Apparently, RTD has said that the Doctor's story is going to be an important one in this season as well.
Ooh, excellent.
That there are apparently some big things coming up for the Doctor, not just for Belinda and for Ruby.
Well, and Mrs. Flood apparently.
So
because
we have.
She is going to be a big part of the season, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say. Yeah. Basically, she's probably going to be like the Bad Wolf equivalent, cropping up again in every episode.
Right. And then most likely really making her plans known by the last two.
Yeah. So basically, by the time we do the next recording, we will have more on Mrs. Flood. We'll have the next batch of episode preview nutshells. We will have everything to go on.
Yeah, excellent.
A literal flood of information.
Yeah.
All right. Any more news?
No, I mean, basically, kind of, I've got to save the rest of my voice for Torchwood now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm starting to really struggle a bit.
Yes, as you might have guessed from the title of this episode and from us talking about Torchwood, this month's topic, is the Torchwood Institute. So as usual, I'm going to give a brief overview of the history of Torchwood, and then we'll hear your guys' spots on it. So the Torchwood Institute is a secret organization founded in 1879 to protect the UK from alien threats and secure alien tech for the good of the British Empire. Torchwood had branches across the UK. The leading office was Torchwood 1 in London. However, following the Battle of Canary Wharf, leadership moved to Torchwood 3 in Cardiff, which is where we kind of pick up the actual Torchwood series. After a series of crises in the late 2000s, several Torchwood bases were lost, and by 2010, the Torchwood Institute was defunct. In 2011, though, a small successor team was formed in the wake of Miracle Day event and was briefly active, but its operations were short-lived. In 2017, Torchwood returned to Cardiff and was seeking a new permanent facility in the city. Torchwood continued to be active in Cardiff at least until the year 2069. As the Torchwood archive, the Institute would live on into the far future, sending the Walker expedition to crop, Tor and advising the rulers of the Earth Empire. The archive was finally destroyed by Jeremiah Bash Henderson, and that is my brief overview of the history and future of Torchwood, which everyone knows is an anagram for Doctor Who. So, Mike, I'll let you pick up your side.
Oh, I was just going to have an open discussion as you were talking, but my microphone was off, so I...
We are professional podcasters.
Professional podcasters, by golly.
Yes.
So, if I remember the episode where the Torchwood was founded, Queen Elizabeth the First,
Victoria
the First, yes, whatever. She was mad at the Doctor, and she formed the Institute to protect the Earth against aliens like him. And I think she said, especially you.
Yes.
And
she had a bit of a crush on the Doctor.
Was it a crush or was she angry? I thought she was angry.
I think it was a little of both.
All right.
I think it was a little of both. I think she was a little peeved and wanted control of him.
So I loved Torchwood. I think it's a great series. I think it's a great show, and despite the weirdness of some of the actors, they, in the moment they were great actors there, and I've seen a lot of those actors go on to very many big screen shows and movies and things like that. But it's always bothered me that there was Unit and there was Torchwood.
Right.
And they seem to be at odds with each other.
Well, that's like any clandestine, government organization. I mean, our FBI and CIA don't play nice with each other, nor does the NSA play nice with the FBI or,
I've seen the FBI playing nice with the CIA. I downloaded the video.
Videos you get off of Pornhub are not realistic, okay?
They're not, no.
I know they're not realistic because the plumber always arrives quickly.
Right. And is always hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
None of the plumbers I've ever hired were hot.
I hired a hot plumber once. I don't think we got much plumbing done, but I hired a hot plumber once. But so, I mean, when this subject came up, I actually have a book about the TARDIF or the Doctor Who encyclopedia, and so I was thumbing through it in preparation for this, and the problem I have with this book, I'm going to say this right now, is they have all these pictures with no captions.
Yeah.
And they're nowhere. I mean, yes, they kind of apply to what they're talking about, but it's like somebody decided that they were just going to throw a bunch of pictures in a book and then fill up the white space with text.
Right.
And there's not even an index of what these pictures are. So,
you got to go back and watch all the episodes and then write it in yourself.
I guess, but
luckily it's not a huge watch. I mean, it's not like 50 years of Doctor Who.
No, that's true. But one of the things that I thought was funny about Torchwood is that it never, as far as I could remember, it couldn't go back in touch with the Doctor. I mean, a couple of times the Doctor makes an appearance in the distance or as a reference, but Harkness crosses over way more into the Doctor Who universe than Doctor Who crosses over into the Torchwood universe.
I mean, the whole you've got in the Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Gwen and Yanto, of course, make an appearance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a kind of a vaguely conscious decision, bearing in mind that kind of like, Torchwood featured gases that orgasm you to death.
Right.
They wanted to keep it a little more PG with Doctor Who and a little bit more PG-13 with Torchwood.
You'll also notice, if you watch the end of season 1 of Torchwood and then follow it with the start of the 10th Doctor episode Utopia, they don't actually properly tie together. There was a big thing at the time. It's like, what the fuck, So yeah, there was a lot of kind of like do we merge them or don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if you look at the Doctor Who spinoffs generally, the Doctor is just there to usually kick the series off and not stick around. Like with Class, with the Sarah Jane Adventures, there's very little of Doctor Who in those. They're kind of Doctor Who adjacent, but they kind of keep to their own storylines most of the time.
Although it's interesting that Sarah Jane does reference Torchwood.
Yes.
She hates them.
Yeah.
And I remember Torchwood being mentioned in the Neil Patrick Harris, The Giggle.
Yeah.
They talked about Torchwood when they were coming together in the unit office, the control room.
It's a really strange relationship.
Yeah.
Basically, I think one of the things they also had a problem with was, as you always have when you got spin-off series, it's like, does the continuity kind of try and keep up with Doctor Who continuity, or do you just kind of accept that they are totally different? Because there are events in Torchwood that really you got to kind of
you're like, where is the Doctor?
Right. Yeah. It's global alien invasion. That's usually when the Doctor shows up, and here's Torchwood running around.
And next month, when I continue my history of the 21st century, we will return to this, because Torchwood and Doctor Who is like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of a divergence in there.
Problems,
so real quick, I'm going to put both of you on the spot.
Yep.
Favorite Torchwood episode? Go, James.
I'm going to check the name of it, because I kind of I really struggle with the names.
Yeah, I do too. But the one that sticks with me, that's my favorite, is like, I know the name by heart. That's the only one that I know the actual name of the episode.
I'm going to really confuse you now, because I'm going to say that my favorite is The Office of Never Was.
Okay.
One of the audio ones.
The audio ones. Okay.
Yeah, but I shall
Mike,
say that for a few.
Favorite episode for you?
I don't have a favorite episode, because you got to remember, it's been a long time since I've watched the Torchwood show, and so I didn't really pay attention to the episodes. But in flipping through my book, I did find a picture of a character, and I was going to look it up to find out where he went. The one guy that was kind of dressed in modernized red coat attire, that
Captain John.
Oh, yes, played by the wonderful actor who played Spike in Buffy.
Yeah.
Who was Jack's love interest. Yes.
And I'm sorry, but he's straight?
Right? Yeah.
Well, so is spaghetti till you heat it up.
Yeah, anyway.
That's true. So episode names, I don't know the episode names. I totally apologize. And I was going to try and watch some Torchwood before this episode, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, I do particularly like the episodes you're talking about, because he's a great character. And a great actor.
Well, and there was so much bantering back and forth as to do we, don't we, do we, don't we, let's go ahead, let's not.
Yep.
And
mine is Countryside. That one creeped me the hell out. And, in a good way. Like, it was actually one of the few really scary Doctor Who universe episodes that really just stuck with me. Because shit like that does happen. You get out in the countryside,
Texas.
You get out in the countryside in some places, and it can be really that way. The hills have eyes type thing. But
all right,
that's my favorite of all of them.
I'm looking at my notes about the extended universe, and I'm just going, this is fucked up.
Yeah, well,
right. Okay. Torchwood was really pushed when it came out. There was a Torchwood magazine. There were Torchwood annuals. In amongst one of the, I think it was series 4, where it was the UK American crossover Miracle Day.
Mm-hmm.
They even had a webisode done for it. I mean, it's just
Yes.
like, there were Torchwood was really big, and then it wasn't because, of course, Russell T Davies moved on to other things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Moffat took over, and a lot of the extended universe stopped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unusually, though, it is not Big Finish that we start with.
Mm.
So, Torchwood, off the air and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and in a rather bizarre twist of fate, it ended up on Radio 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was initially going to be just like a one-off drama, which was written to celebrate the switching on of CERN.
Yes, I've got this episode because somebody sent it to me. It was a very good episode.
Called Lost Souls, yeah.
Yes.
And thus was born the nightmare of Torchwood continuity. Now, Torchwood still exists as an audio series.
Yes.
It's still coming out. They've slowed the releases down a bit recently to one every other month rather than one every month. We'll go on to the reasons for that.
Well, they've got to go on until 2060. Was it 2069?
Yes.
How could you forget 69?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't know if it was 20 or 30.
Yeah. So yeah, the BBC actually then did a further 3, which were broadcast on Radio 4. You got Asylum, Golden Age, and The Deadline. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It then actually had a series of CD releases. The Devil and Miss Carew, Submission, and The House of the Dead. And then, along with the audiobook versions of the Torchwood novels, because there are about 10 or... No, yeah, it's about 10 or 12 or 15 novels. There was quite a large kind of, set of novels released. Yes, Big Finish finally picked up the reins.
Mm.
And if you thought the Doctor Who range was complicated, oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Deep breath. Open the window, because all continuity is going to go through it and we don't want to break the glass on the way out. Okay.
All right, then.
So we start with the main range. Okay, this is kind of like the monthly range that Doctor Who had. And yeah, it started off very much as kind of like, okay, as with the Doctor Who, who can we get to do them? And, certain actors, John Barrowman, me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
Actually,
that actor craves attention 24/7.
I did see him described once as someone who would turn up for the opening of a crisp packet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, you need the money.
Yeah. The early ones do actually have a kind of a vague, ongoing background thing. But basically, yeah. Barrowman stars in the first one called The Conspiracy. And you have also got ones featuring Yanto, Tosh, Gwen, and eventually they got Owen as well. Okay, so basically, main range at the start is very conventional, but they're very, very low cast. I mean, Fall to Earth, the second one, which is a Yanto one, I think it's Yanto and one other character. Some of the later ones are literally one voice. Doesn't mean there's only one character.
Right.
But there is only one voice.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you've got a very small cast for Torchwood.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And yeah, trying to get some of them to do it was quite difficult. But there are some damn good ones in there, by the way. Looking at my list of them, an early one that kind of freaked me out was one called Made You Look. Definitely a horror story. Yeah. But they do start getting a little bit more inventive. If you remember the early Torchwood episodes, there was a character called Susie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
who basically dies in the first one and
Mhm.
is briefly brought back to life in one of the later ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We get a lot of Susie ones in the Torchwood range.
Mm.
That character is fleshed out. You see a very different attitude to the normal Torchwood team. It's something that kind of is really good about the Torchwood ones is because these are not your conventional heroes. You know,
Wasn't it's been a while since I've watched it. Wasn't Susie revived by the Resurrection Glove?
indeed she was.
Same as Owen.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, and
Yes.
more of that in a minute as
Okay.
well.
All right.
Um,
It's been a while, so I'm
Yeah.
catching back up again.
And if I
no.
remember correctly, you don't come back exactly the same with the Resurrection Glove.
No,
No.
it's a little hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some interesting ones with Tosh. And again, they take full advantage of the audio nature. They travel the globe. There's stuff in all kinds of snowy
Sets
bases.
are just so much cheaper in audio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to the kind of because of course with such a very small cast but such a big backstory, Big Finish started to do a little bit of experimentation. They did a one-off one featuring American Torchwood.
Okay.
Imagine Charlie's Angels style Torchwood.
Well, I guess they figured if Kingsman's going to do it, they should too.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
Now, Gwen and hubby and baby crop up an awful lot, but actually, because she had a career and she wanted a life, the actress playing Gwen is gradually kind of phased out.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
Which is a shame, but
I do love her. Yes,
yeah,
but
no,
also I wish her well on other endeavors.
Oh no, she has now come back. She's
great.
Yeah, but there's going to be a hell of a twist coming up soon, right? And so they did these kind of like these small voice ones. They're really good, by the way. There's some very good ones. There's some great Doctor Who crossover ones. There's a Gwen one called Night of the Fendal, which is a sequel to Image of the Fendal. Then Big Finish announced, you know how there were only 4 series of Torchwood? We're going to make series 5. And these suddenly become full cast. Unlike series 1 and 2, which were kind of vaguely linked, sort of-ish, roughly. Series 5 is called Aliens Among Us and is a very big story. Okay? It is 12 episodes, 12 full-length, 50-minute, hour-long episodes.
Wow.
And we start to meet brand new members of Torchwood. Okay?
Okay.
My favourite being Mr. Colchester.
Oh, okay.
Who is gay, old age pensioner, and one of the best characters they've ever created. He is brilliant.
I do have to say, Doctor Who does some really brilliant OAP characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just some of them are just so incredibly amazing. Just like the best grandfatherly figures you could ever hope for. Yeah.
I mean, the fact he has a long-term partner in the story that he tries to keep away from Torchwood. It involves basically, God trying to turn up in Cardiff.
Why would God go to Cardiff?
Of all places.
Yeah. And let's say they advertised it as season 5. They sold it as I can never remember if it was 3 batches of 4 episodes at a time or 4 batches of 3 episodes at a time. But then Big Finish do what they always bloody do. They forgot to say, oh yeah, by the way, episode 12 ends on a cliffhanger.
Of course.
Which means that season 6 was announced, and that was called God Among Us. Which takes the story from Aliens Among Us and finishes it. I'm not going to give too much away, but I was a little bit underwhelmed because let's just say that the resolution of this great big 24-part epic is very similar to something that Marvel use. But I'm not going to go any further. No. No.
Not that bad, huh?
No,
okay.
No. But there's a lot of people with very good wrist action in these stories.
Mm.
Okay. Now, going back to the main range, because you would think, you've got Gwen, you've got Yanto, Jack, Owen, Tosh. They start to realise that PC Andy is a bloody good character.
Yeah.
And more importantly, they realise that if you pair him up with Owen, it is a bloody brilliant double act.
Okay.
And they suddenly realise that, so you've got Gwen and her hubby, which is a really good kind of like, she's Torchwood, he doesn't want to be.
Right.
You've got Owen, who's Torchwood, and Andy, who desperately wants to be Torchwood. And then they say, there was that really interesting villain in season 1, Billis Manger.
Yeah.
Let's make him a lead character. I'm not saying let's make him a hero. I'm not saying let's make him a villain. I'm just saying I'm not even going to go that far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So just a house
even
plant?
more ambiguous than an anti-hero.
He is.
Huh?
Sadly, the actor is no longer with us because he was very ancient. But his ones are probably my second favourite of all of the kind of the new character things that they've introduced. His have definitely got a decidedly grey feel to them, as in he's not baddie, he's not goodie, he's not anti-hero, he's not this, not that. Yeah. And you're never quite sure where his ones are going to go. Okay, so do look out for his ones, right? And they realise, people are buying these Torchwoods. They really like them. Let's start doing some special ones. They released the Torchwood Archive, which is where all the future stuff comes from. They released like a feature-length 3-disc one called Outbreak. And in 2018 as well, they released one called Believe. And so if you don't want to kind of like the full 24-part epic, you've got these kind of like extended, Marvel-length movie type ones. Okay. And then they thought, we've got some really other fascinating characters. And they started introducing Yvonne into them. You know the one who died in Torchwood? Yeah, this is Torchwood.
Well, I mean,
you don't die in Torchwood.
There's Yanto, there's Owen.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get to Yanto. Say another really good Yanto one, by the way, is one that's simply called Coffee. Sweet. I challenge you not to cry at the end of it, though. Coffee is a work of art. It's not a massively strong story, but as a Yanto character piece, it is fucking amazing. It really is. And then, in amongst the main range, they did something cunning. They took Andy, who was normally the comic foil to Owen and occasionally the others, and they sent him back in time. And they launched a whole new subset of Torchwood. These boxes are called Torchwood Soho.
Yes, I've heard this.
And basically, in the main range, is initially planned to be a one-off type thing. Andy got called to investigate something, and he encountered a character called Norton Folgate.
Okay.
The listeners loved Norton. And I'm not going to say that he is openly gay or anything because he comes from the 1950s.
Right.
Yes.
You know, he comes from Torchwood Soho 1950s, where you're not legally allowed to be gay. You know, right? He doesn't half fancy the pants off Andy though. Yeah. And when in the first of these Soho ones, Andy gets sent back in time rather than Norton being in the future.
Right.
Andy has to deal with Norton on his own territory. The relationship between the two is fantastic, especially in some of the episodes where, let's just say that through actual geniusly contrived plots, Andy turns up naked to encounter Norton. And God, yeah. What is a little bit confusing, though, is that Norton also turns up in Aliens Among Us and Gods Among Us. And yeah, the continuity is a bit. But who cares? It's Norton. Yeah. It's bloody brilliant. If you are a fan of Yanto, he also...
Just a little bit.
I like Lianto, yeah.
I named my dog after him, so...
He has his own Torchwood series now where he is the co-lead. It is Torchwood 1, which basically details his life with Torchwood before encountering Captain Jack and that lot, where basically he is Yvonne Hartman's coffee boy. And you see him having, you know... And so, yeah, they've taken huge amounts of kind of like what was like little tiny hints on screen, and they have fleshed out this universe. And of course, now that we have got people like Ace and Tegan and stuff coming back into Doctor Who, the other genius thing is they've started pairing Ace up with Mr. Colchester.
Oh, cool.
And again, some of those are just absolutely bliss. Now, to finish, a few kind of things that kind of you're gonna go, yeah. If this had been any other show, this would not have worked. So, along with an entire box set, The Sins of Captain John, you know, so yeah, they got him back.
Yes. Played by James Marsters. I just looked it up again.
Yeah.
Yes. He's so cute.
They've also now done season 7. So season 5 was Aliens Among Us. Season 6 was God Among Us. Season 7 is just Among Us.
Hmm.
And basically, are you on mute?
My goodness.
Professionals, as you say.
Yeah, professional. As I was going to say, is everybody dressed in those little colorful spacesuits?
God Among Us doesn't exactly end on a cliffhanger. But there was a big gap between God Among Us and Among Us. And yeah, the character of Gwen gets very interesting in those other seasons. I'm not saying she's recast. I'm not saying she's not recast. Torchwood does a Torchwood. And along with making lead roles of Billis Manger, of the new characters like Mr. Colchester, there are ones where the lead role is the Torchwood SUV.
Okay. I mean, it is a cool SUV.
Yeah.
But it's no kit.
No. As I say, there have been ones which are kind of solo voice ones. If I just got to check the title of this because I mean, we're now on we're getting towards the 100th release. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Release number 37, Tropical Beach Sounds and Other Relaxing Seascapes number 4. That is the official title of the episode.
I thought that was what you go to sleep to at night.
It's voiced in a guest one-off. He does the whole thing by Michael Palin.
Oh,
yeah. And that one has got savage twists at the end. More and more, as I say, we're drifting away from the original cast. We are now getting ones, purely featuring Mr. Colchester, stuff like that. They've done ones with creatures from Doctor Who. Yeah, they're basically kind of like they're taking the Torchwood universe and they have run with it and they have really made it into something special.
Very cool.
The main range, really though, that's the one to dip in and out of because they are all standalone stories. Okay,
Right.
and to be honest, as I say, we're now kind of getting towards nearly 100 releases.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and piece them all into some kind of continuity. It is not going to work.
It's like trying to read Discworld. You just got to pick somewhere to start and stick with a thread and then pull at another thread at some other later point.
Some of them are comedies. Some of them are downright bloody scary. Some of them are intense personal dramas. As I said, the Office of Never Was is just when I heard that for the first time, it's like, okay, I didn't think you would do that to. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say I like all of them. There have been a couple that I've really hated. I'm not going to pull punches on that.
Right.
And yeah, as I say, kind of we've got Zygons turning up in them at the moment. As I say, there's the Fendel in them. Autons have been in them. All kinds of things in them. Martha is in some of them.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, they got they got Martha to do one, and it's a really good one. It's a real creep out one. Yeah. And Joe Grant is in them.
Oh.
There's a sequel to The Green Death. I'm looking through my list of them, and yeah, there are some ones which are really bloody good. I would strongly recommend for hour-long dramas. They're great to dip in and out of. And there's one that's never been released.
Gasp.
Yeah, and this is an interesting tale. We're now heading towards the 100th one, but there was supposed to be a special one for the 50th release.
Oh.
Yeah. And this whole idea of lost media and stuff like that.
Of course.
Throughout the history of Doctor Who and spin-offs and everything, there's been loads of stories that kind of like, got to the scripting stage that were never made or kind of were dropped at the proposal stage because they were too impossible to film kind of thing. There was Sharda, which was part filmed and then never finished because of BBC strike action. There's two very famous bits of Doctor Who adjacent stuff which was made but not released. First one, I'll just mention briefly, was a talking book version of the very first Doctor Who story, An Unearthly Child.
Okay.
It was recorded. William Russell, the late William Russell, recorded it. It wasn't just a reading of the target novelization. It was a new version of it.
Okay.
And then legal complications meant that it could never be released. And that's never leaked. No one knows how they retold the story. The 50th release of the main range for Torchwood was supposed to be called Absent Friends. Sorry, calling it Absent Friends and then it disappearing into the void is just the ultimate irony. But, and this now ties back to what Mike was talking about earlier, to celebrate it being the 50th release, it was going to be Captain Jack, Yanto, 2 guest voices, and Mr. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor.
Nice.
It was written, it was recorded, and then various things got in the way, and to date, it has never been released.
Oh, what a bummer.
However, bits leaked.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is where things get very strange. A copy of the script turned up on eBay.
Wow.
Now, the reason this is a bit strange is because, say, they had intended to release it. It wasn't like kind of like no one knew they were doing it. It was advertised. It was on the Big Finish website as being up for pre-sale, and then things got in the way. So they had to pull it. And we were supposed to have it like a gold embossed cover and everything to celebrate it being the 50th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And say this, the script, or what alleged to be the script, turned up on eBay. The reason it's a bit strange is because on the pictures that were released of the script, the two guest characters who were unique to that story were to be played by TBC. Okay. And on the website, those two people had been cast. So whether or not this is an early version of the script or it's someone who was trying to make a quick buck, because the eBay auction was apparently pulled. And very few people kind of know much about it, because so far the complete script hasn't leaked, but extracts have. And so on top of the kind of the teaser blurb that was put on the website, the story would have opened with Jack arriving back at Torchwood HQ, planning on having some stopwatch time with Yanto.
Okay.
Only to find the 10th Doctor sitting in his chair with the 10th Doctor's feet up on Jack's desk. And the pre-credits bit would have ended with the 10th Doctor going, "Oh, Torchwood was set up to find me. Well, here I am." The plot would have revolved around a recording studio. Now, interestingly, this plot has also turned up in another Doctor Who audio release called Dead Air. It's not quite the same plot, but say the gimmick and everything is the same. And it also bears a lot of similarities to an early Big Finish called Whispers of Terror. The story would have revolved around essentially a haunted radio station where voices from the dead were turning up and kind of interacting with the living. 17 years previous to the Doctor arriving, Jack had been investigating this radio station, and Jack thought that he had shut everything down and that he had taken the tapes and that they were safely in the Torchwood vaults. The story would have seen the Doctor, Yanto, and Jack teaming up to deal with this problem. It's called, the Doctor refers to it as a psychic tsunami that is about to wash over Cardiff and cause untold chaos. It would have destroyed the rift. It would have spread all of this shit out into the universe that the rift was kind of containing. And yeah, various script extracts have turned up. Some people have suggested that this is definitely an early draft because the Doctor is really rude about Jack. And I mean, he's rude about him in Utopia and Last of the Time Lords and Sound of Drums, but I mean, he's rude about Jack in this one. Yanto openly declares his love for Jack.
Okay.
Jack is suspected of kind of holding back from Yanto because Jack, it's suspected, has got kind of feelings for the Doctor. So not only would there have been the whole kind of haunted radio station aspect, there was almost like this love triangle aspect going on between the three of the three leads. And I don't mind saying this because, of course, it's seemingly never going to be released. Yeah, guess whose fault the whole psychic tsunami turned out to be?
Jack's?
No.
The Doctor.
The Doctor's?
No.
Oh, Yanto's?
No.
All right, I have no idea. The BBC's?
The TARDIS.
Oh, the TARDIS.
TARDIS. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the TARDIS fucked up the telepathic circuits, really kind of screwed things over. And in a wonderful scene, which we are sadly never going to have, basically the TARDIS ejected the Doctor out into the void, and the Doctor crashed into Cardiff tube station type of area. And rather than him turning up to help Torchwood, it actually turned out that he was there to try and get Torchwood to help him
get the TARDIS back.
And the one thing in these leaked few pages of the script that people are really furious about is it was to have ended with the Doctor Who theme done in the style of the Torchwood music.
Ooh.
It's just like,
I really wanted to hear that.
bastards.
It sounds awesome.
So there you go. 20 years of New Who, all kinds of years of Torchwood, and I believe that that's the most detailed description of Absent Friends that has been in a podcast ever.
Woo!
Yay.
A first for us.
A first for you, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm going to have to stop now because of my uvula is... basically, it's trying to do to me what Jack wants Yanto to do to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, all right. So James has thankfully planned out a lot of our next few episodes because he is, an uber a good sort like that.
Well, you've got July 4th coming up. You've got all kinds of conventions coming up. Let's not do it. Say it's because of James, because basically, I know you guys are going to be really busy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Mike and I would be fairly busy in July. Anyways, it looks like we're going to be doing, by the time this episode comes out, the first 4 episodes for the main part of the show will have dropped. And so we're going to go ahead and do our kind of thoughts and recaps on that.
On the first 4?
On the first 4, yes.
Yeah. Episode 4, in theory, will have broadcast the night before we're recording, so make sure you kind of have watched it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Don't die. We'll need you next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Cool. All right.
All right. So, thanks for joining us on another journey through time and space with the Doctor. Remember, you can support the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube or subscribing on Buzzsprout for as little as $3 a month. You can send us an email at 3dowho@gmail.com or text from 3dowho.buzzsprout.com. The link is at the top of every episode show notes. Follow us on Blue Sky, 3dowho.bluesky.social. And y'all have a fantastic month.